Representing the Kansas City Royals, pitcher Dan Quisenberry. From the Milwaukee Brewers, catcher Jim Sundberg. Representing the Minnesota Twins, a .316 lifetime hitter who was the top vote getter in the American League All-Star balloting from the Kansas City Royals, number 5, third baseman George Brett. Hitting in the
shortstop, and George Brett, who started the year on the disabled list and had surgery, has come back and wins the vote, and that's that. But in the inning, a run, 2 hits, 2 errors, and after one, it's 1-0.
Reggie got a lot of wood on that ball, and it was up there in a normal park without any wind. Those aren't easy to catch.
But Smith made it look as routine as you possibly can under the circumstances as Brett comes up. Not a vintage Brett season at 277, but he did have surgery, knee surgery, prior to the year. Spent about the first half of the season's first half on the disabled list and takes onside, ball 1.
But a beautiful hitter, beautiful swing. Just a few years back, challenging 400, getting a lot of attention.
He doesn't have any holes, and by that I mean he hits the high pitch, the low pitch, the pitch that's in, and the pitch that's away. What you almost have to do to get him out is fool him. Get him set up looking for a breaking ball, throw the fastball. Get him looking for the fastball, throw the breaking ball, and that's not easy to do.
Great thrill for Altobelli to be back here where he managed.
Oh, absolutely. Brett hits it high in the air to deep center field. Murphy going back, and Brett hit it out. Dead center, 400 feet for George Brett to tie the game.
And neither wind, nor hail, nor sleet, nor snow, nor dark of night would have stopped that ball. Look at this swing, Earl.
High fastball, got out over the plate. We see Brett get his arms out, got everything he had behind it. 400 feet. And again, one hit like that, the wind will not bother it.
Replaced Earl in Baltimore as you look at George Brett. And now he comes back as the manager in an All-Star game. What sweet revenge, though. He's the type of guy that really holds no grudges.
He has no grudges, and I'll tell you, he just feels that everything happened for the best. When you can manage a world champion.
Look at the bench with Lance Parrish. Wonder who that fella is sitting next to Cal Ripken. Hank Greenberg is the honorary captain, and Ricky Henderson, and Griffin and Garcia of Toronto. Dave Winfield and Thornton down the line. Switch hitter. Little looper, and that one is fielded by Brett. So on one pitch, Davis is gone. But Carter's home run here in the second inning puts the National League back on top. At the end of 2, Nationals 2, Americans 1.
And that pitch just missed.
He got jammed. It's a one-hopper back to Morris, and that's the end of the National League threat. No runs ahead. They leave a couple. End of 3. National League 2, American League 1.
I tell you, I was nervous out there. I was glad to get my 2 innings over with and come in here and get something to drink, get my arms some ice and relax.
What'd you think about Brett?
I thought he crushed the baseball. He's such a good hitter, and I got behind him with 2 breaking balls right off the bat, and he was looking fastball, and that's what I wanted to come in with, and I got it over the plate, and he got every bit of it.
Well, again, he's using that screwball to the left-handed hitters. He's not letting them take it away.
The Kansas City Royals, George Brett.
So now let's see about Brett, what George has learned from watching Winfield and Jackson. What Charlie Lee learned in the second inning was that Brett can drill one over the wall in center.
Don't fall behind him. 2-0 and throw him the fastball. That's what Charlie told the Twin D.
Fastball for strike. And we'll look back now, second inning, just a screamer to center.
You know, what makes Brett is such a good hitter against his screwball, he might shorten his stroke. You notice he stayed off of that. He's probably not thinking home run at all, where Winfield and Jackson were.
1 ball, 1 strike the count. National League on top, 2-1 with 2 out and the bases empty in the 4th inning. Good breaking pitch, 1-2. Seen a lot of Cub hats these days everywhere.
They've really come out of the woodwork, haven't they?
Cubs, Tigers, Mets caps reemerging. And strike 3, a fastball. So he strikes out Winfield on a screwball, Jackson on a screwball, Brett on a fastball. Strikes out the side, it's still 2-1.
I was just going to say that ball was hit about as hard as a ball could be hit.
Right to Bobby Richards.
Carter pops it up a mile high. The breeze is blowing, but Brett is there. And after a little drift, it came with 2 out, 2 on in the ninth. There goes Strawberry as Smith pops it in the air and foul ground. Brett might have a play and makes the catch in front of the auxiliary box. That's a very fine play for a guy who has not played in this ballpark.
Well, it's a real good play. He was bothered by the fence, but he's a real good player. Get to see it from high above here. We'll get to see just how close he got to the fence. He'll take a little look at the fence right here and reaches out at the last minute. Chance that it would have blown in there.
And that team has gotten hot over the past week, and that's all it took in the American West. Pitching to Garvey with the infield in. The American League down by 1, so he'll have to try to cut off the run at the plate.
Well, Tavelli knows that pitching staff. He don't want to give up any if he don't have to.
1-0 to Garvey. Little grounder to the right side. The runner will have to hold as Whitaker throws out Steve, and so Quinn is still at third. Garvey can't get the RBI, and it will be up to Murphy. Bill Necro in the American League bullpen, and Mike Boddicker. And Dave Engel, the Minnesota catcher. Willie Hernandez, the Quiz, and Bill Caudle of the Oakland A's. Brett and Carter with home runs in the second, and that's been it to this point. Washington at third. Smith on at first with 2 down. They send Smith. The pitch is high, and Sundberg's throw goes back to the pitcher, but Washington doesn't bite. He stays at third, and Smith goes to second.
No, that was a design play. You certainly don't have time to work on it, but the pitcher and the catcher must have got together. You see he's throwing it right back to the pitcher, trying to draw the runner from third base into home plate.
They've been working that play in baseball for 70 years.
But these fellas don't play together, Howard. You're right, and it has worked.
So Dodson works out of trouble. Keeps him in the game. No runs a hit. Lead 2. It's still 2-1 National League as we head to the 7th inning. Soto keeps throwing strikes, and he finally gets Ricky, and George Brett is the batter, having accounted for the American League run as Bill Caudle continues to heat up in the A's pen.
Interesting fellow, Caudle.
Caudle having a good year. He got a bum rap last week. Said something that I think he meant in a flip sense, taken out of proportion.
He's very upset about it. Talked to me about it at length.
As Brett hits it in the air to shallow left center field. Smith giving way as Raines comes in and makes the basket catch.
Remember what it was he said, Al?
Well, one of the things, somebody asked him about not making the All-Star team, and he said, if Altobelli doesn't name me, I'm going to hit the first Oriole I see, and I don't care if it's Ripken, and I don't care if I put him out. But if you know Caudle, you have to know the circumstances under which he said it. He's a little bit like Quisenberry, where you got to take everything he says with a grain of salt, consider the circumstances. It winds up in the paper. Columns are written off what he says, and the next thing you know, he looks like a bum. Popped up, shallow left field, off the bat of Sundberg. And it's Timmy Raines making the catch. So he said it in jest, and he'll probably be coming into the game. 3 up and 3 down. It's still 2-1 National League after 6.5. Goose Gossett gets the save as the National League wins it by a score of 3-1. Still upcoming will be the presentation of the MVP award to the most valuable player of the 1984 All-Star Game. As you look at the line score and the totals, the National League wins it at Candlestick Park by a score of 3-1. And we'll be back after this message and a word from our local station.